There are 7.8 billion people on this planet. I remember the face of almost every single one I've ever met, but their names, that's a different story. This is the story of the day I discovered why my brain betrays me and the two psychology findings that made me stop apologizing for it. Thursday morning, 8:47 a.m., the most important meeting of my career. I kept repeating it to myself. Remember their names, remember their names, remember their names. Marcus Reynolds, CEO. I had studied everything about him, his background, his habits, even personal details. I walked into the room. We shook hands. Marcus, I said, locked in. Then he introduced his colleague, Sarah. We shook hands. I said her name. And then the meeting started. For 40 minutes, I was completely locked in. I noticed everything. The way Marcus leaned forward at certain points. The exact moment Sarah stopped taking notes. The tension in her posture. The subtle power dynamic between them. Everything. Except what mattered most. Her name. There's a well-known finding in cognitive psychology called the Baker-Baker paradox. It shows something brutally simple. People remember that someone is a baker far better than remembering that the name is Baker. Why? Because baker means something. It connects to images, bread, heat, routine, early mornings. But baker as a name is just a label. No meaning, no anchors. Names are arbitrary sounds. And if your brain relies on connections to store information, names are the weakest link. So they disappear first. And that's exactly what happened. She asked a question. I turned to answer. And the name was gone. Completely gone. My brain started scrambling. Sarah, Samantha, something with S. Nothing. Silence. I tried to recover. Failed. Sarah, she said, we just met. And in that moment, everything dropped. Not just the name, my confidence, my control, my identity. But later, standing there trying to process what happened, something clicked. Another piece of research, this time on divided attention and cognitive load. When you're in a socially demanding situation, your brain isn't doing one thing. It's doing everything at once. You're monitoring yourself, reading micro expressions, predicting reactions, planning your next sentence, adjusting your tone, managing pressure. Your attention is split across multiple channels. And working memory, the system responsible for holding small pieces of information like names, has limits, hard limits. So something has to give. And usually it's the simplest, least meaningful data, like a name. That's when I realized something uncomfortable but important. I hadn't failed to pay attention. I had paid attention to too much. My brain didn't drop the name by accident. It made a trade. It prioritized patterns over labels, meaning over memorization, signal over noise, and that changes everything. Some people store information like a filing cabinet, clean, structured, labeled. Others build webs, everything connected. Forgetting a name might be the cost of seeing deeper. Not always, not for everyone, but for minds wired this way, often. So if you've been judging yourself for things like this, for forgetting names, small details, labels, ask a better question. What are you remembering instead? Because your brain didn't just drop something, it replaced it with something it believed would matter more. So maybe your brain isn't broken. Maybe it's just optimized for something deeper.